Felix here, and welcome to this Monday morning pre-market live stream. And if you're wondering why Winston just got up and why the market hasn't crashed yet, I'll tell you why. And I'll explain to you why, and explain to you what the risks still are, because it isn't over until the fat lady sings. But there is a lot of positive stuff out there that means markets are very likely to going to shrug this off. Now, I should have held that back for another 15 minutes to make you watch later longer, but this isn't really what this is about. So I'm going to share my screen with you, and I'm going to run you straight through everything that you need to know to become a better investor, make smarter decisions today. Once I've done that, I'll also walk you through why HIMS is crashing, and I'll also walk you through all your questions. And we'll look at what we might want to be buying this week. And for my mentees, you already got our list this morning, right? Or actually your evening if you were in the US. So you see what we're bullish on. But I'll walk you through a little bit of what's going on out there. Brilliant. Right, let me share my screen with you and we'll get cracking, shall we? If that might be some use to you, by the way, put a 1 in the chat. Some of this might be some use to you. Okay, so first of all, let me give you a bit of bad news, and then we roll into the good news, and then the resilience, and then what we might want to be buying, and what we definitely don't want to be buying. And the first thing is, there are lots of reports out of the Middle East that there is plenty of stuff going on there. I have my personal trainer is in Tel Aviv, so we did a workout today, and he was getting the updates of all the missile sort of warnings, alerts. They have this app in Israel, tells them where it's going to come, and then they give you 10 minutes, and then they give you 90 seconds to like run into the bunker. Which he thankfully didn't. Actually, did he have to do that? No, he didn't actually, thankfully. He thought he did, and then it got cancelled. So Iran is still firing some things in the direction of Israel. Israel's apparently struck somewhere between 100 to 200 targets in Iran today. So this war is not over. And it seems they're striking more and more kind of government targets, sort of regime targets. And we'll get onto that in a second. But there is also this report out, unconfirmed, that an American military base in Syria was attacked. Now, I don't know whether it's official that there is an American military base in Syria, but there's an American military base in most places, so it's pretty likely. The US has apparently also ordered its family and non-emergency government personnel to leave Lebanon. They're probably worried about, terror attacks, bombings, that sort of thing. A bit of gag juice in the morning. And the president of peace is now talking about regime change, which is sort of, I think, what happens to everybody who meets the Pentagon. So it could be that the US will directly or indirectly, via Israel, push for regime change, which, well, that is what it is. In a sense, it sort of makes sense. I mean, you can't really negotiate with, people who call themselves supreme leader. It just doesn't really work, does it? So in a sense, there's some logic to that. Hopefully this isn't going to turn into a much bigger war, but there is still that, right? The market at the moment is shrugging it off. And I showed you this map yesterday here, just so you get a little bit of a feel of the geography. If you didn't tune in yesterday, I'll show it to you very briefly. This is the Middle East. We're carrying here about the blue bit, the Persian Gulf. And then you've got in these sort of brownish stains, they're your oil and gas fields. In red, these R's, they're refineries, right? So it's pretty nice and clear. And then there is this Strait of Hormuz, which is this little bit there, which is very, very, very narrow. And you can also see that, well, the Iranians are everywhere, because Iran is a very, 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 very large country, right? So they basically control the entire Persian Gulf, one side of it. On the other side, you have countries that we might be more familiar with. So that's a thing. So why isn't oil prices at $100? Why hasn't the market collapsed this morning? Very simple. Well, first of all, we've had a lot of conflicts in the Middle East. I mean, these are mostly Middle East ones. Iran, Iraq, 1, 2, 3, and so on. And then the impact on actual oil exports. And they've just declined. They've been pretty minor mostly since the 1990s. The last big one was really the sort of Bush, the senior, invading Iraq. That was a fairly big deal because we lost all Iraqi and Kuwaiti floats, but then the Saudis kicked in and pumped it, and then it was all okay again. So the impact actually hasn't been that great. And then the second thing, and this is what almost nobody understands, and I want you to understand, that oil from the Gulf, I'm talking about the Gulf in the Middle East, not the Gulf of America. Any Mexicans on the channel here that we just wound up? Where does it go? It goes almost entirely to Asia. Obviously, China is a big part of that, but also other Asian countries. And it's like a tiny percentage, 5% or something like that, that actually goes to Europe or the US. You might be wondering, well, hang on, that's not what I was told. I thought this was all about oil. I thought we needed the oil, right? Well, we'll talk about hymns in a second, actually. I wanted to, that's in the wrong place, but that is important. We'll get to that in just a moment. But first of all, you need to understand this. The United States of America is the largest oil producer in the world. It's not the Saudis, it's not the, UAE or Kuwait or Qatar or Iran or any of those. No, it's the United States. It's by far the largest oil producer in the world. And it isn't just the largest oil producer in the world, bigger than Saudi Arabia. It is also no longer an oil importer. So when we go back in time, 1977, sort of been around, mattered, the Gulf War and the Iraq War too, what was it, 3, depending on which one you start counting, the US was importing sort of massive amounts of petroleum-based products. Right now, the US is an exporter. And that is one of the main reasons, no matter what happens in the Gulf, even if the oil stops flowing out of the Gulf for a while, it doesn't really matter that much because very little of it goes to Europe and none of it goes to the US. So who's going to suffer from this? Well, I mean, I'm not saying it doesn't matter, but Asian economies and that sort of thing. So it isn't that important for the stock market because the stock market is mostly US based, right? Most of the things listed in the US are US companies doing business in the US. And therefore, this doesn't really matter, right? Does that give you some clarity? If they give you some clarity, put a C in the chat down below. Take a screenshot if you wish, because some people are not going to believe that the US is actually an exporter of oil nowadays. Now, moving on to something a bit more, one stock sort of thing, and then we look a little bit at a trend story there, and then we look at the market and the live pre-market as well. And let me just see how many people have we got live here today. We've got 2,800 people live, of which about 8% have hit the like button. Oh, I'm about as popular as the supreme leader, it seems. So Novo Nordisk, the Danes with the little peach thing on top. I'm sure the Danes have never heard that joke before. They've terminated their Hims and Hers collaboration, citing Hims' illegal mass compounding and deceptive marketing. I mean, the word illegal is pretty strong. And not brilliant for Hims. Probably not brilliant for thems either, but in all seriousness, let me show you where Hims is trading right now pre-market. It is trading down here. It is pre-market down. Do we show the percentage point? I guess do I have to do that? We're down 24% or so on that. Pretty extraordinary stuff, right? 24% down. Definitely taking out all of that recovery rally there. So this continues to be a very, very volatile stock. Now, my little box up there says, I told you so. I didn't know this was going to happen. But yeah, this was the beginning of the resistance zone. And boom, textbook-like, it just decides to falter. So bigly deal for Hims there. If you want Hims, I'm sorry. I don't know if it's overdone, an overreaction. It's definitely not brilliant for them to use that supply. But obviously, we don't know the details of that. It's illegal because they continued compounding when they weren't supposed to. Possible. I don't know. I really don't know the answer to that one. But to leave you on a slightly happier note, this is where we are. this is the NASDAQ and its momentum during the year. And we are right bang in the middle of tail end of June. We're somewhere here, somewhere there. And typically speaking, life gets better thereafter. So I have a smile on my face. We're making lots of money. Over the weekend, I think, well, all our oil and gold and sort of war stocks seem to have worked out rather well, which is good. And we didn't buy those because I thought there was going to be war. I just bought those because the chart told me to. And that's ultimately, I think, the lesson I'd like you guys to take away from every single video I put out is that there is a rule book. There are 3 simple steps we follow. We follow them every single week. And in my humble opinion, if you follow them every single week, you are likely to do much, 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 much better than you're doing right now, even if you're doing well. And I thought this was a lovely quote. I just happened to see that today. I thought I'd share it with you. Marcus Aurelius, do you know who they are? Good old Roman chap, lots of good thoughts. And he said, remember that you are more free if you change your opinion and follow those who have corrected your mistakes than if you're stubborn about your mistakes. And I think he was probably thinking about stock market traders, because what most people do, who knows, the Romans were very advanced, and what most people do is that they make a mistake. And by mistake, I mean they're in a stock, they buy a stock drops, 30%, and now they stubbornly hold on to it. I used to be that person. I was very lucky. I had a lot of very smart mentors, and they told me that that was a mistake and that I should do something different and that I should use simply what successful people do. And it kind of made sense to me. So I changed my tune and started following those people. And that's what I do. And that's what I continue to do. And I still follow pretty much exactly the same rule book that I was taught. And that's what got me free. And that's why I spent today working out with my coach. I can now do a 5-second handstand without a wall, which I'm very excited about. I couldn't not do a handstand for the life of me until about 6 months ago, or maybe a little bit less than that. Never had done one in my life, which is an achievement of sorts. I enjoyed sitting by the pool this evening, had dinner out there, and just had a lovely day. And it's only because my money works for me. And I'm so very happy that that's the case. So I'd encourage you to come and learn with us. So if you want to learn with us, it's completely free. felixprehn.org/get-free. Just click on that. It'll give you access to our masterclass. And if you're going to do that, anyone going to do that? Anyone going to get free? Put a G in the chat for get free, or GF in the chat. This here is Albert, by the way, who is our boy, who is single-pointedly responsible for creating 5 kittens. Yeah, good swimmers, he says. So that's where we are at. I have a stop set for 60. Stops don't work pre-market or post-market. It's a devious thing of the market, unfortunately. It's one of those things. And that's why position sizing is key, because if your position is relatively small, even losing 20% doesn't really matter all that much. And that's really why we do what we do. Okay, Albert now thinks that the mouse on the screen here is something to chase. Albert, go chase something else, please. So let me show you the pre-market. I mean, considering that the US just struck the nuclear installations of Iran and that the war is ongoing and Iran is threatening all sorts of things, you'd think the market would be down a little bit, right? So we got a dip for ants. Tesla is also up. The robo-taxi thing seemed to have gone relatively smoothly, although relatively little media coverage, I found. Oil stocks are still green. AMD is continuing its upward trend. Palantir is up. Apple, for inexplicable reasons, is up. That might be a little bit of flight into what old people still consider to be safety. But overall, this is a much better start to the morning than I think most of us had hoped for. So I think we can be pretty happy. Now, Albert's the man, says Andy. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. First time, 5 kittens. The vet said it'd be 3. So how much vets know. They don't really know anything. Any vets here on the channel? So that's also him. Very noisy cat. I'm going to keep an eye on this. And this is free, by the way. It's called vesselfinder.com. And, well, there's a subscription to it as well. And I found this because I have a business. We sell ethanol, and we have a wine business. And at one point, we were shipping, a couple of 100 containers a month of wine and alcohol around the world. So I was tracking our shipments like that. I had a subscription to it then, and now I just use the free version. But it's very cool in here because you can go in there and you can turn off everything. And then you can turn on the military vessels, which is never accurate, by the way, because apparently there are no American military vessels in here. I guess they don't want to be tracked. And then you can turn on the tankers, which are oil and gas tankers. And you can see that the Strait of Hormuz is very, very, very much alive, and nothing is wrong there. But it's a really nice kind of live way of seeing what actually happens out there. This is called vesselfinder.com again, not an advertisement for them or anything, but it's a free, very cool way to see what's going on. And what's also fun, if you're ever sitting by the seaside or something and there's a big yacht and you're like, who owns that yacht, right? You go on here and then you look at yachts. Are there any yachts in the region? Let me see. Yeah, some nutter is always there, right? Yacht. No, that's a satellite. What about, do we have any yachts around here? Anyway, you get the idea. There is probably a Bezos yacht somewhere off, we're going to get really distracted now, of Venice or somewhere like that, right? The Venice is actually not a place you want to take a yacht to, but there probably is one somewhere. So you could click around here and you could usually see, if they're nice looking ones, you'll find some images. Let me look at where I normally look, which would be Monaco. Monaco normally has a few nice yachts, sort of outside of it somewhere. There are one or two in here, for example, in the port. There are a couple of big ones here. Les Cinq, right? And you can see then this one there, and then you can just Google what that boat is actually called, and then that way it'll tell you who owns it. So there's a bit of a snooping instrument if you're curious. Anybody curious? Has Felix eaten a baby? What's that reference about? That's slightly disturbing. You're going to have to explain that. Bloomberg reported 2 big tank ships turned around. Yeah, 2 ships turned around and 1,000 did not, right? That's how Bloomberg reports the news. I don't know, how did we get onto yachts? Who was responsible for that one? But yeah, we can go back to, there's Italy. The Gulf is here. So I would say at this point, there is no disruption whatsoever to the oil and gas industry in the Gulf because, I mean, look at what the heck is going on there, right? Felix is Egyptian. Yak-san, my friend, are you Egyptian? The yacht report is fabulous. It's very, I think it's brilliant. Like we were, for example, we were on a yacht off Cannes a couple of weeks ago. And then obviously there are some bigger yachts that come past you and that make you feel very, very insignificant. Sort of a male size measuring problem. And then obviously you want to look up who they are, and you're hoping that it's a Russian mass murderer, because that way it would be okay that your yacht is smaller than theirs. But it usually isn't. It's usually somebody who's got a construction company or something, and you're like, oh. I need to trade more. Volatility, VIX is at 20.5, which is extraordinarily low if you think about this. You think about that there is a great big war that just got started and it's at 20. So the market does not care. The market is just going, couldn't care less. Name for the striped kitty blossom. You know, Penny, some of you guys suggested some really good names the other day, and I wanted to write them down, and I didn't. So there were some really good names on there I liked, and I've forgotten what they are. So I'm going to have to go back and look what they are up. Sad to see Bayesian rice from there are some references in here to sort of philosophy or Greek things or something that are going way over my head. Just a simple ex-banker here. Just another Manic Monday. I like that one. What else we got? Is that bad for Zim? Well, Zim so far, it took a bit of a tumble on Friday. It's up a little bit. But you see, people get very upset about things when they go down a few percentage points. It went down 6.7%. Just scroll back a little bit. This is a stock that moves frequently 10%, 14%, 16%. So you're just going to have to expect that. if you're in something like that. I'm not saying you need to be. And then you just kind of look at like, where is the low range here of our market at the moment? And it's basically that zone there, right? And colors are way off with these glasses. It's a bit funky. So that's basically your support zone. So we're above that. We bounced off the support. So it isn't actually, from my perspective at least, it isn't a problem. Obviously up to you whether it's a problem for you. Is the dark screen easier to see for you guys, or the light one? What's easier, dark or light? Dark or light? Put a D or an L in the chat. What to expect from the NATO summit? Oh God, never expect anything from summits. Summits are a waste of time where people stand around and look good for the press. Everything usually agreed at a summit was agreed in advance by the apparatchiks that run the show. So summits are usually a waste of life, especially NATO ones or G7 ones or European ones. DDDLLLL, DDDLLL. I think the D's win, don't you think that? Who thinks the D win? Dark for better relaxing. Calliope, that's an unusual name. Yeah, I think the D's win. At least they're typing D more aggressively. So I think we've done this poll before, and the D's won then too. But I thought, in a sort of true democratic sense, because I didn't like the outcome of the poll, I'd run it again. Isn't that what democracy is all about? So yeah, to me, this isn't really an issue. To me, Zim looks still to be doing exactly what we expect it to be doing. Generally speaking, the longer the interruption of the Red Sea particularly continues, the more money Zim makes. It's a bit of an odd play. Do I think Google is a play? Buy? I do not. I do not. I think wasn't Google on our sell list? Well, that wasn't the official sell list, but I think it made the buy list. No, I think Google looks bad. I know it's still above the 50 here, but I am not liking that candle and all their sort of legal woes. And I also think, quite frankly, that Tesla is gonna have their lunch on the Waymo front, but we'll see about that one. Democracy like EU elections. Yes, they're lovely, aren't they? Red Sea, Persian Sea. I don't think the Red Sea was ever the Persian Sea. I mean, I don't think that's a bit of a stretch. It could be, the Egyptian Sea or the Saudi Sea or something like that, perhaps, but definitely not the Persian Sea. Couch Investor likes Goog. I don't know who Couch Investor is, but somebody always likes something. That's okay. For me, it's got some warning bells there. Let's have a look at what did institutions do with Goog on Friday. So in Trade Vision here, you can guys get a free version trial to as well if you wish. We can see clearly now that the rain is gone. We can see in here dark pool trades. So I was messing around with this. Let's go back to Friday. The market isn't open yet. And let's have a look at Goog. Google, actually, that's the class A. And that was very bearish on Friday. Institutions, very bearish on Friday. So what about on Thursday? There was no Thursday, but Wednesday, the market was open. Slightly bullish. So yeah, I'm not convinced. Actually, we could add Goog to this as well, couldn't we? We could add both of them together. That's interesting, actually. Friday. Interesting. So Goog was bullish. Oh, no, I cleared them all. Okay, sorry. Goog was very bearish. And Google, there are two types of Google shares, right? Class A, Class C, also bearish. So yeah, this doesn't really convince me. It doesn't really, I don't really like it. The Persian Gulf. It was the Persian Gulf. Isn't it still the Persian Gulf? Is it not? This is still, what is this now called? I guess it doesn't really matter. But yes, it was the Persian Gulf, which makes sense because the whole, look at where Iran starts, right? This is the Iranian coast, right? That's the Iranian coast. So it's reasonable that it is the Persian Gulf. I would say. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But yeah, I suppose Persia no longer. So Someone's sad that Meta Planet is down 9%. I mean, seriously, how can you be sad about that? Do you know how much that stock's up by? That stock's up like 60% or something like that. So it drops a little bit. Zoom out, no, not Meta, MTPLF. Be happy for the, look at where we are. We're exactly at the same price we were at the last 2 or 3 days at the low end of the day. Like, I really don't understand sometimes the short-sightedness of people. I'm sorry I'm picking on you there, my friend. Maybe you were just putting in a sad smiley to be silly. But, I mean, at least from where I bought it, it is up at present 56%. I tend not to cry too much about my stocks that are 56%. Palantir Gnomes, yeah, Palantir is still up today. That's still looking pretty good. Market opens in 4 minutes, by the way. It's up a little pre-market, so it continues its strength there. What do you think of TPL, Texas Pacific Land Corporation? Dreadful. That's what I would say. Why do I say it's dreadful? Well, tell me one thing you like about this chart. Like one thing. Literally. I can't think of a single thing that I like about this chart. Literally not one single thing. So I would be very, 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 very cautious. Facts channel with your weird gurus. We're going to have to tell you to bugger off. There we go. He's gone. Straight of America. Yeah, something like that. The green bar at the end. Are you excited about that one? I like the optimism. I do like the optimism. It went up 0.4%. You're excited about that one? Yeah, I really, I mean, no. This is not good. Lockheed and his friend Martin. Yeah, but only a little, 0.4%. So it's still like going absolutely sideways, doing nothing at all, which is a little surprising. I suppose they're hoping for a bigger war. But either way, this is pretty good. Why is this good? Well, for all you lot who've watched the masterclass, you know what I'm about to say, right? When you have these very, very long sideways consolidation periods, eventually you break out of that zone, and that when you do, you tend to really, really, really go to the moon, which is what we'll be looking at here. Could you check nuclear stocks? Well, give me a couple, I'll look at them. UNH, is that still in the doghouse? Yeah, it's still in the doghouse. It's done absolutely bugger all, which is why I always say, stops, my friends. Get the F out when it drops to here. Because then you would have had 50% more money than you have right now, and you could have put that money into something that actually would have made you some money. Don't hold on to the losers. It's usually not a good idea. What else we got there? Hood. Hood's looking good. Hood's looking pretty good. I mean, down a teeny tiny bit pre-market, but nothing really worth writing home about. What else we got? And Road, my friend, if you're going to write Hood one more time, like just write it once. Don't write it 10 times. Don't be a spammer. Okay, it's not the nice thing to do. Mew, that looks good, doesn't it? Wow. That looks really, really freaking good. The market's just opened, and you can see there it's down 0.1%. We didn't do our bell. We didn't do the bell. Oh no, we got to do the bell. If we don't do the bell, imagine what will happen to the market. Oh my God. I was gonna make a button so I could do this quicker. Bell time. The market is officially open, and I put on all the noise thingies again so that you don't hear me slurping quite as much. So there we are. Okay, Rohit, I'm sorry, my friend, but you're a nitwit. I'm gonna hide you because I've answered your question on Hood and you're still spamming it. So buzz off. Felix with glasses. Yeah, these are not glasses. Apparently my eyesight is perfect, obviously. But these are dark what they're called, blue light glasses. So they filter out the blue light, which is quite nice when you're looking at screens, but it's mostly because I've got studio lights on here, right? So, so that I look this good. And that's kind of a little tiring for the eyes. So apparently these are very good, and I'm quite enjoying them actually. Watch the masterclasses, Daniel, then look at CVX. Yes, yes, yes. Good one, my friend. Well done. Well done. I hope you're making a boatload of money. Can you talk about Basel III? God, really? Must I? It's essentially how much money do banks need to put aside? Essentially, that's what that's sort of about. It's incredibly boring. I mean, the fact that it's called Basel, it's not the most exciting place in the world, probably tells you all you need to know. So it's about banking regulations. Terribly, dreadfully boring. I love not being a wage slave. Retirement is great. It is, isn't it? I was thinking that today. I was literally sitting outside by the pool this evening. Had some Japanese by the pool, which is just where you should have it. And I was looking up at all the bank skyscrapers. Actually, I put a tweet out on that too, if you wish to see the actual picture. And I just thought, it is so freaking amazing that I never have to be in one of these office towers again. We tweet too much, but yeah, there it is. That was my view today. And I just thought, oh my God, imagine working in one of these places. And I'm very, very happy I never have to ever again. So what did I write? Something meaningful, I think. Plan your office-free, job-free, time-free life. That's really what I would do. Make that your focus. Make that your center, not the latest whatever thing you got to do. In terms of data points today, bunch of Fed goons talking. That isn't that important, to be honest. Fed Chair Powell speaks on Tuesday and then again on Wednesday, because we'd miss him otherwise on Wednesday. And he talks to one day to Congress and one day to Senate. Is it the other way around? House of Representatives and then the Senate or something like that. Anyway, it's not going to be particularly meaningful because we already know what he's going to say, which isn't a lot. And then, so I wouldn't pay much attention to that one, to be honest. And on Friday, we get core PCE price data. That is Chief Powell's favorite inflation metric. So for him, it's a little bit like a birthday on Friday. So that really matters. That's probably the only key number actually I'm looking at for the whole week. It's just inflation numbers there. Has SOFA been shown? SOFA has not been shown. It's a very polite way of asking it. So I shall gladly look at that for you. SOFA is down 3%. Below that breakout trend, which I'm not loving. But let's see where it ends up at the end of the day. NVO, our Danish friends, are also tanking. Wow, they're down there? Are they down there? Minus 6.6%, something like that, which is not brilliant. But the real pain is felt by HIMS investors, which is now trading at $44 and a bit, $45 and a bit. And that is 29% down this morning. Ouch. Painful. Now, Novo Nordisk has canceled their partnership with Hims and Hers. And they're alleging that Hims and Hers were illegally, compounding and something like that. So not good at all. Mark, he got stopped out of turbulent market, getting sick of it. My friend, when you get stopped out, it's a good thing. It means it saved you from something that was potentially worse. If it really bothers you, your positions are probably too big and you might want to make them smaller, because then the stopping out doesn't really worry you at all. I get stopped out of stuff, a couple of, probably 5 things a week at least. And I do not care. I have a smile on my face because there's some problem I didn't need to look about, think about, look at, and it just takes care of itself. And that's why we make money. So maybe look at your position sizing and maybe make that a little bit smaller. I always think you've cracked it in life and you enjoy Monday mornings more than Friday nights. It doesn't really make any difference to me, John. Actually, honestly, it's every day is the same. I slightly prefer the week because the weekend can be a little bit busy. Some of the nice places I like to go to get a little bit busy on the weekend. So I'm actually a little bit more fond of weekdays than weekends. Other than that, it's basically the same thing. Guardrails are safe. Even cowboys wear seatbelts. Thank you, Jane. GROI or NGD. Let's have a look at 2 gold stocks then. Thanks for bringing those up. If we're allowed. What happened to my chat? Let's, what am I doing? What am I doing? Where am I? What's my name? Here is GROI, and that continues to go up and up and up and up and just make us so much money. It's beautiful. So this is obviously pretty significantly off the charts now. That doesn't mean it isn't still, in theory, a buy, but it's up 50% from our entry point. Let's put on some moving average lines here. So it is very extended. And if you look at how gold moves, or this particular stock moves, you see these? You see that there are always, even here, there's always a pullback. So I would, generally speaking, buy something like that that's that far out, more on a pullback. If we look at new gold, I think I put out 2 or 3 gold stocks today in our buy list. I'll tell you what one of them was in a second here. Whereas NGD actually looks at closer to the 50-day moving average line. Again, it's not a buy recommendation, and it's just been going a little bit sideways, right? So it's kind of primed if it does break out of here for a breakout. That's kind of what I would look at. Another one you might want to look at with not SKE. Again, I'm not telling you to buy it, but that looks pretty good as well. At least it's had a little bit of a pullback here, and it's now breaking out again. So again, a little bit closer, at least visually, to the 50-day moving average line. But obviously, you got to come to your own conclusion on that. But yeah, I'm in all of those, so they all look good. Raphael, you want me to look at Dino, dinosaur stock. It looks like a dinosaur, doesn't it? I mean, it's really doing its absolute best for a dinosaur impression. That is the head, right? There's a little eye there. And then this is the long tail, rump, and then, tail. All we need now are legs, right? Don't you think? It's a dinosaur stock. That's why it's called Dino. Very powerful chart pattern, that. Now, talking nonsense, obviously. Yeah, I think it looks pretty good. I mean, the breakout was a little sooner, a little earlier. I would argue it was here. Volume picked up on Friday, but that's probably mostly options expiration. It's kind of consolidating again a little bit. So yeah, it looks pretty decent. I haven't got a problem with that one. Rocket Lab. Head and shoulders. Yeah, maybe. Man has got a very small head, but yeah. So what do you then look for? Well, draw a line that combines the 2 armpits, straight one ideally, and then you want your stock to cross below it, at which point all hell breaks loose and this thing collapses most of the time. So that would be that pattern. So yeah, it's not looking, but I you know how I would look at this more? I'd look at this more like it's kind of an exhaustion consolidation thing. So we had that here, right? And then that was your breakout number 1. That was your buy 1. And then we went up, second chance. And then we're going up, and we're just doing it a bit more bigly. We're basically doing the same thing. So I would again argue that once we exceed those, if we do pop up, that could be a breakout. But if we do break below the support here, then bad things will happen. So that's how I always look at it, chart. And I explained that to you in the masterclass. Just go and check it out. Grr exploded. Was that why that lunatic was writing grr 1,000 times in the chat? That's actually a stock. Gorilla. Okay. Well, he wrote it like 30 times. So I'm sorry, I had to ban him. Yeah, textbook. Absolute textbook. So what's the textbook here? Well, who's watched the masterclass? Who's watched the masterclass and I can explain the textbook? Put it in the chat, guys. Put it in the chat. What is this? What do you see? What do you see? upside down head and shoulders. I'd struggle a little bit with that one. But essentially, it's just this. It's just a very nice kind of consolidation here. The point where the 50 days starts to move up. That's exactly the point where we gap up. We take out the previous high, massive volume. Obviously, earnings were good. Now we're pulling back a little bit, which could be the second chance. I'd just wait for it to break out of that zone again at sort of 23. And then that could be an interesting one if you are, into that. Dante, please go and retire and put in your 2 weeks notice. There you go. It's a done deal. Sideways long ziggity zaggity thing. I think that's a great description. Absolutely. That's exactly what we call this. A second chance. Yeah, it looks like a second chance. I agree with you on that, but we'll see. We'll see. Este and Lauda, which is still doing very nicely. And that's, again, it's a nice breakout. Nice breakout. Tesla. Let's have a look at Tesla. So the robotaxi thing sort of went off without a hitch. We're up 3.7%, which is pretty good. Usually these events are like sell the news type events, so it's decent. Not enough for the stock to get really exciting at this point because we're still very much in that sideways thing, and then we're going to have to get out of that zone and out of that zone. So there's a lot of resistance overhead here, but it's improving. Let's have a look at what institutions are doing with that. Actually, let's have a look at the market overall. So overall, there's money flowing. Google, CoreWeave, Northern Trust, IWM, Circle, QQQ, and Tesla. There's quite a bit of money flowing into Tesla here today. Now, the market's only just opened, but yeah, pretty significant core buying here today, 8.5 million. Any big whales in that one? Yeah, that one here. $4 million on a call option into 2027. That's quite a bit of money. That is quite a bit of, let's open that actually. $4 million. How much? So one option costs 8,600. So $4 million. 8,600. So they bought 465 of these. Can we put a number that big in? 400? Oh, I can't. I'm not going to click it out 400 times. So what would happen there if, say, Tesla recovers? Well, I guess it needs to go up a little bit more. But so say sort of 200 days in or something, if it recovers its all-time high, these guys would make a 66% gain, which on $4 million is not chump change. So yeah, it's quite a bullish setup. And there are a couple of more, which are, obviously institutional. Otherwise, they wouldn't be that big. Your voice just activated my Google Home. Hello, Google Home. Turn on the sprinkler system and the garden hose and, make an espresso. It would be nice if it could do all of that, wouldn't it? It will soon. Raphael, appreciate you. Thank you. That's very kind of you to say. Burn. I thought I was looking at Burn day or two ago. Oh yeah. We're in that, right? Are we in that? I think so. Defense thing, isn't it? I think so. So what do you see? It's just a stock that's doing its thing. It's just ziggity zaggading. You can't see it in red, can you? Can I change the color to yellow? The stock is just doing its thing. So it's formed two highs here. It's got a bunch of lows in that zone. So it's kind of in the middle of it. So I wouldn't particularly worry about it. Just sort of let it do its thing. The 50-day moving average line crossing up very nicely. Earnings are coming up. That's something to perhaps bear in mind. Let's watch a stream of 465 mouse clicks. Yes. No, I did actually ask for us to be able to type numbers in, but obviously hasn't been done yet. We've got a pretty full pipeline of things we want to build. I guess that wasn't like the most important thing in the world. Winston Camp. Well, he's left the building. You see, he's snuck off into the kitchen. undoubtedly under the promise of cucumbers or something like that. You see, he's easily bribed. That's the problem with golden retrievers. You know your loyalty when there is food involved. Otherwise, they're amazing. What program is he using? Oh, that's a very good question, my friend. It is this here. It's called Trade Vision, which I should talk about more often, actually. felixprehn.org/Trade Vision. It's we build it, and we build it to give you access to the best data, build the best sort of data charting, stock journaling tool that the market has, and give you access to the stuff that Wall Street looks at. And there's a free trial to it. It's like $19 a month or something. There is also included in that a mobile app. The iPad app's out now as well for you guys on slightly bigger tablets and so on. So yeah, very, very cool, fun thing that we're building. And about 10,000 of you are using it, which is amazing. So we're very excited for that. And every single cent that you give us, we spend on more developers. So we've got this gloriously large development team who are amazing. And it allows us just to build stuff faster and more and more and more and more and more and more cool stuff. I was very small there, wasn't I? Very small. So where are the kitties? You want to see some kitties? Okay, I'll bring you some kitties. I'll leave you with the, with the heat map for the day, and I'll get some kittens, and then we'll wrap it up on that front. So if you don't want to be here, then go and watch the masterclass while I do that. But I'm going to get some kittens. Right, there's almost full roster. There are 4 of them. Hang on. Yes, there are these 3, and then there is this one, and there is another one somewhere which I couldn't find. But yeah, these are all the kittens, and they are very naughty and very lovely. So it's a complete madhouse around here. There are more cats than people. So there we go. These are the 2 boys who are by far the naughtiest. So there we are. I wish you a beautiful rest of your day. I wish you less kittens. And there might just be a number where you have slightly too many kittens. But then they are very precious, aren't they? Very precious little monsters. And of course, we're going to set them to work to be doing all the research, chewing all the papers and all that sort of stuff. So there we go. This one is still the one that's nameless. All the other ones have names, but this one, for some reason, has so far escaped the naming. Haven't you? I don't really know why. You're actually very cute and very pretty. So there we go. Kittens are all around us. They're everywhere we go, and they're undoubtedly going to start chewing all the wires now. So let's leave it at that. I wish you a beautiful day. Don't worry about the war stuff so much. Don't watch the news because it's usually old and nonsense and bad news. And I better go because the mother is now complaining I've pinched all the kittens. So there we are. All the best, guys, and take care.